Hey, deep divers. Ready to absolutely crush that interview in the world of protective clothing apparel manufacturing? We're breaking down the playbook today.
We'll tackle tough questions, give you strategic answers, and even prep you for curveballs so you can walk in confident and prepared.
It's like having a cheat sheet.
Ah,
And to kick things off, let's dive into a classic. What inspired you to become a protective clothing apparel manufacturer? What are they really trying to uncover with this one?
passion. They want to see that spark, the driving force behind your interest in this field.
So more than just, I like to sew.
Way more. Think about what ignited that passion. Was it a family member who inspired you? Or maybe a fascination with how protective gear is always evolving?
I'm super interested in how new materials are making gear lighter and more breathable while still being incredibly safe.
Exactly. Let that enthusiasm shine. And be prepared for follow-ups like, what challenges in the field are you most drawn to?
Okay, making a note of that. So, research the company and connect my passions to their mission. Got it. Now, next question. How do you stay updated on industry trends and technologies? You're looking for someone who's always learning, right?
Definitely. It's easy to say I read industry magazines, but go deeper. Did a recent article on smart fabrics catch your eye?
Smart fabrics. What are those exactly?
Imagine a garment that changes color to indicate high temperatures, giving a visual warning to workers. That's the power of smart fabrics.
Whoa, that's incredible. So I should mention specific technologies like that. What about nanotechnology? I've heard that term thrown around too.
Nanotechnology is all about manipulating materials at the atomic level. Think ultra-strong yet lightweight fabrics. Imagine a fire-resistant suit as comfy as a t-shirt.
Okay, that's seriously cool. So by mentioning these examples, I'm sure I'm not just keeping up, I'm fascinated by where this field is headed.
Precisely. It demonstrates a genuine passion for the industry. Now, onto a big one. How do you ensure that your products meet safety standards? This feels like a heavy hitter.
Right. It's not just about saying, I'll make sure it's safe.
Definitely not. Demonstrate a deep understanding of safety protocols. Mention organizations like ISA or certifications like CSP.
Okay, Isaiah, CSP. Got it. So I need to know my acronyms. What about the actual design process? The next question asks, can you walk me through your design process? Talking about creativity out loud can be nerve-wracking.
Don't sweat it. Just think about how you approach a design challenge. Where do you start? Researching the needs of the wearer.
Right. Understanding the hazards they face, absolutely. Then I think about prioritizing functionality and comfort, which goes back to the materials I choose.
Exactly. Structure your answer clearly. Take them through each step and be ready for those. Tell me about a time when questions.
Like a time when a design didn't work out as planned.
Yep. Be prepared to discuss setbacks, but always spin it positively. What did you learn from the experience? How did you adapt?
This is where RoleCatcher's AI feedback could be super helpful, right? Like, it could help me craft a stronger answer about a time I had to redesign a garment because the first attempt wasn't flexible enough for workers.
Exactly. RoleCatcher helps you add those specific examples that make your answers really resonate.
Got it. So specific examples are key. Okay, next question. How do you manage production timelines and budgets? This feels like a test of my organizational skills.
It is. They want to know you're organized and can handle the logistics. Are you familiar with project management methodologies? Like Agile or Waterfall?
I haven't formally managed a huge project, but I'm great with deadlines.
Yeah.
In school, I always juggled multiple projects and was super organized.
That's perfect. Frame those experiences in a way that shows off those transferable skills. Prioritizing time management, staying cool under pressure.
Okay, I could definitely speak to that. Next up, how do you ensure your products are both functional and aesthetically pleasing? Wait, so it's not enough to just be safe, it has to look good too.
You got it. People are more likely to wear gear that looks and feels good. It's all about striking that balance between form and function.
Right. So I can talk about my design aesthetic and how I try to incorporate elements of style without compromising on safety.
Exactly. If you've got a portfolio, bring it. It's a great way to showcase your design thinking. Now let's talk supplier relations. How do you manage relationships with suppliers and vendors?
This feels like it's about more than just getting the best price, right?
Absolutely. It's about forging strong, mutually beneficial partnerships. Talk about your communication skills, your knack for negotiation, how you've navigated tricky situations.
Like that time I had to find a new supplier last minute because a shipment was delayed. Talk about stressful.
Perfect example. Or a time you streamlined the delivery process with a vendor to boost efficiency. Show them you're proactive.
And again, RoleCatcher can help me tailor these answers to the company, right?
Absolutely. RoleCatcher analyzes job descriptions and company profiles, identifying key skills and weaving them into your answers.
Okay, that's super helpful. Next question. How do you stay competitive in the market? This one feels a bit intimidating, to be honest.
Don't let it psych you out. They're really gauging your business sense. How do you stay ahead of the curve in a constantly evolving field?
Well, I'm super passionate about reading industry reports and checking out new technologies. Like at a recent trade show, I was blown away by a new manufacturing technique.
Love that. Be specific. Mention a particular innovation or startup that excites you. Show them you're not just keeping up, you're a forward thinker.
Got it. Be ahead of the curve. Okay, on to innovation. How do you approach new product development? This feels like a creativity test.
It is. But instead of listing steps, tell a story. Did you identify a gap in the market? Improve an existing product?
Oh, I have a good one. I redesigned a pair of safety gloves to improve dexterity for workers handling small parts. It made a huge difference in their efficiency and reduced errors.
There you go. Describe the challenge, your process, the impact. Quantifiable results are gold. But what if I'm new to this and don't have tons of product development experience yet?
That's a good question. I've definitely had to be creative and solve problems, even in school projects or just figuring out how to improve things in my daily life.
Exactly. It's all about drawing those parallels and showcasing those core skills. Okay, last question in this section. How do you approach team management and leadership?
Even for entry-level roles, what are they looking for here?
They're assessing your potential. Are you collaborative? A natural leader? Think about a time you motivated a team, handled conflict, or showed initiative.
So instead of just saying I'm a good communicator, I could talk about that time I mediated a disagreement between team members, and we found a solution that worked for everyone.
Bingo. And if you have any leadership training or certifications, definitely mention those.
Got it. Showcase those leadership skills. And of course, RoleCatcher can help me fine-tune those answers, right? Provide feedbacks, suggest relevant examples from my experience.
Absolutely. It's like having a personal career coach in your back pocket. Now, before we move on to the next set of questions, let's talk career path. What kind of growth can someone expect in this field?
Yeah, that's a great point. We've covered acing the interview, but what about life after you land the job?
Well, you might start as a junior production technician, getting hands-on with garment construction.
And from there?
You could climb the ladder to production supervisor, overseeing a team and ensuring quality control.
So there's a definite path for advancement.
Absolutely. With experience, you could even become a production manager, responsible for entire lines and budgets. Or maybe you set your sights on becoming director of production, leading large-scale operations. And let's not forget about specialized roles.
Like R&D. That sounds fascinating.
Exactly. You could focus on innovative materials or cutting-edge design. The opportunities are there.
Okay, wow, that's amazing. So much potential for growth in this field. But let's dive back into those interview questions. We were talking about RoleCatcher and how it helps tailor answers. Can you elaborate on that?
Of course. RoleCatcher's AI analyzes tons of data, from job descriptions to company profiles. It's like having access to a treasure trove of industry-specific insights.
So it goes beyond generic interview advice and provides targeted guidance for this specific industry.
You got it. It can even predict potential questions based on specific job roles, like, say, a production supervisor versus a design engineer. And it can tell you what makes a strong answer for each.
Okay, that's seriously impressive. It sounds like an indispensable tool for anyone wanting to stand out in this competitive field. But back to our questions. This next one seems pretty technical. What are the different types of seams used in protective clothing, and how do you choose the right seam for a specific application? Whoa, getting specific.
This is where your technical knowledge really shines. Be prepared to discuss different seam types like lapped, flat-felled, or bound seams, and know why each one is suited for certain hazards or garment types.
Okay, so it's not enough to just know the names. I need to understand the why behind the how, right?
Exactly. Explain how your seam choice impacts the garment strength, its durability, its overall ability to protect the wearer.
Right. So, for example, I could say that a flat-felled seam is super strong and flat, which makes it ideal for garments that experience a lot of stress and abrasion, like, say, firefighter gear.
Perfect example. Using specifics like that shows them you're not just rattling off facts, you understand how those details apply in the real world.
Okay, got it. Now, I'm curious about technology in this field. The next question is, how do you incorporate technology into your design and manufacturing processes? Is this where I talk about CAD software and stuff?
Absolutely, but don't just list technologies, explain how you've used them or how you see them shaping the future of this industry.
So, like, I could talk about how I've used 3D body scanning to create custom-fit garments for workers with unique body types. That's something I'm really interested in.
Love it. Real-world examples are key. Show them you're not just tech-savvy, you're thinking about how technology can make protective gear more effective and comfortable.
Awesome. This is great. Okay, next question. What factors do you consider when selecting materials for protective clothing? I'm guessing this is where my knowledge of textiles comes into play.
Exactly. They want to see you understand the science behind the materials. Be ready to discuss different fibers, their properties, and how they relate to specific hazards.
So, like, I could talk about aramid fibers for cut-resistant gloves or PTFE membranes for chemical-resistant suits.
Exactly. Highlight your understanding of tensile strength, heat resistance, breathability, all those things. Demonstrate that you can choose the right material for the job.
Right. And it's about finding that sweet spot between protection and comfort. Right.
Exactly. And don't forget about things like cost effectiveness and sustainability. Those are big factors too.
Oh, for sure. Sustainability is so important these days. Maybe I could even mention my interest in eco-friendly materials or sustainable production methods.
Absolutely. Showing that you're thinking about those things demonstrates a well-rounded understanding of the industry. Now, let's talk quality control. The next question asks, how do you ensure quality control throughout the manufacturing process?
Okay, so this is about being detail-oriented and making sure those garments meet the highest standards, right?
Precisely. Be ready to discuss quality control measures at each stage, from inspecting the raw materials to testing the finished product.
So things like visual inspections, different kinds of tests, quality assurance protocols.
Got it.
I could talk about making sure seams are sewn correctly, zippers function properly, and that the garment meets all the necessary safety standards.
Excellent. And if you have experience with industry standards like ISO 9001, definitely mention that.
Okay, good to know. Now, I'm curious about the problem-solving aspect of this job. The next question is, how would you troubleshoot a problem with a garment's performance in the field? That sounds tricky.
It's all about having a systematic approach. Think about how you'd identify the root cause of the problem. Would you gather information from the wearer, examine the garment itself, run some tests?
Right, you have to have a clear process for figuring out what went wrong.
Exactly. Walk them through your thought process. How would you analyze the data, explore potential solutions, and then implement a fix?
Okay, so for example, if a garment tore prematurely, I'd want to examine the tear, look at the fabric for any weaknesses or signs of a manufacturing defect. Then I'd check the design specs, make sure the materials and construction methods were appropriate for how the garment was being used.
Excellent. Providing specific examples like that really brings your process to life.
Got it. Okay, the next question focuses on regulations. How do you stay up to date on changes in safety regulations and standards? That sounds crucial in this field.
Absolutely. It's a constantly evolving landscape, and they want to know you're committed to staying informed.
So how can I demonstrate that I'm on top of things? Should I mention specific publications I follow, organizations I'm a member of, training programs I've completed?
Yes, yes, and yes. The more specific, the better. Talk about industry journals, regulatory agencies like OSHA, standards organizations like ANSI. Show them you're actively engaged in staying current.
Okay, so instead of just saying I read industry news, I can say I regularly read Professional Safety Magazine and make sure to attend OSHA webinars to stay updated on the latest regulatory changes.
Now you're talking. Specificity is key.
Got it. Specificity is king. Okay, the next question seems pretty specialized. What are the key considerations when designing and manufacturing flame-resistant clothing? That's getting into the nitty-gritty.
This is where your in-depth knowledge of this specific area comes into play. Be prepared to talk about the hazards associated with flames and heat, the materials used, the construction methods, the testing procedures, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, so I need to be ready to discuss things like the different levels of flame resistance, the heat transfer performance test, the importance of proper fit, and layering all the technical stuff.
You got it. And any experience you have with specific flame-resistant materials like Nomex, Kevlar, PBI, mention those.
Got it. Show off that specialized knowledge. Okay, this next one seems similar, but for a different hazard. What are the key considerations when designing and manufacturing chemical-resistant clothing? So same idea, but with a chemical focus instead of fire.
Exactly. Be ready to dive into things like permeation, penetration, degradation, how different materials hold up against various chemicals.
So I should brush up on terms like breakthrough time and permeation rate, and be able to explain how those factors influence material choices.
Exactly. And familiarize yourself with chemical compatibility charts, testing standards like ASTM F739, and the importance of seam selection and garment design in preventing chemical exposure.
Wow, there's so much to know about this. I'm really starting to appreciate the complexity of designing these garments. It's not just about sewing skills, it's about science and engineering and safety.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating field that requires a unique blend of skills and knowledge. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about ergonomics. The next question on our list is, what are the ergonomic considerations in designing and manufacturing protective clothing?
Ergonomics. So we're talking about comfort and fit and how those things impact a garment's effectiveness.
Exactly. Think about things like freedom of movement, breathability, heat stress. How can you design a garment that's both protective and comfortable to wear, especially for long periods?
Right, because if the gear is uncomfortable or restrictive, people are less likely to wear it properly, which defeats the whole purpose. So I could talk about incorporating stretch panels, using moisture-wicking fabrics, considering the weight and bulk of the garment, things like that.
Absolutely. And don't forget to mention how discomfort can actually lead to safety risks. People get fatigued, they start taking shortcuts, and that's when accidents can happen.
That's a great point. Comfort and safety really go hand in hand.
They absolutely do. Now, let's move on to a question that's all about staying ahead of the curve. How do you stay informed about market trends and competitor analysis in the protective clothing industry?
Okay, so this is about understanding the business side of things, right?
Hmm.
Knowing what's selling, who the competitors are, what they're doing.
Exactly. Be prepared to discuss how you gather market intelligence. Do you read industry publications, attend trade shows, analyze competitor products?
I'm a big fan of industry magazines. I subscribe to a couple and find them really helpful for staying in the loop.
Perfect. Mention specific publications, websites, or even social media accounts you follow. Show them you're actively seeking out information.
Right. Like I could mention that I follow Textile World magazine and regularly check out the websites of leading protective clothing manufacturers to see what's new and noteworthy.
Excellent. Demonstrate that you're curious, you're engaged, and you're keeping your finger on the pulse of the industry.
Got it. Stay curious, stay informed. Okay, next question. How would you communicate technical information about protective clothing to someone with limited technical knowledge? That's interesting.
This one's all about your communication skills. Can you explain complex concepts in a way that's clear, concise, and easy to understand?
Right, because not everyone is a textile expert. So I need to break down the jargon, use simple language, maybe even use analogies or examples that people can relate to.
Exactly. Think about how you'd explain something like arc flash to someone who's not familiar with electrical hazards.
That's a good one. Maybe I could compare it to the intense burst of light and heat from a camera flash. Emphasize the potential for serious burns.
Perfect. You've got the right idea. Make it relatable, make it understandable.
Got it. Communication is key. Okay, next up. Describe a time when you had to make a difficult decision regarding a product design or manufacturing process. How did you approach the situation?
Ooh, a decision-making question.
This one's about showcasing your judgment, your analytical skills, your ability to weigh different factors and make tough calls.
So should I focus on a situation where I had to balance competing priorities, like maybe cost versus safety? Or a time when I had to advocate for a design change that I believed would improve the garment's functionality, even if it meant pushing back against resistance?
Both great examples. Choose a situation that demonstrates your ability to gather information, consider different perspectives, and make a well-reasoned decision that was in the best interest of the product and the wearer. Okay, got it. Highlight those decision-making skills. All right, what's next? Describe a time when you had to work effectively as part of a team to achieve a common goal. What was your role in the team, and what challenges did you face? Classic teamwork question.
This one's all about showcasing your ability to collaborate, communicate effectively, and contribute to a shared goal.
Right, because teamwork is crucial in any field, but especially in a collaborative environment like this one. So I could talk about a time when I work on a team project, maybe in school or a previous job, and highlight my role, the challenges we faced, and how we overcame them together.
Exactly. And be sure to mention any positive outcomes that resulted from your teamwork, such as a successful project completion, exceeding expectations, or learning valuable lessons along the way.
Great points. I'm definitely going to start jotting down some examples from my own experiences. Now, this next question seems particularly relevant to this industry. Describe a time when you identified an area for improvement in your work or work process. What steps did you take to implement the improvement?
This one's all about showcasing your initiative, your problem-solving skills, and your commitment to continuous improvement.
So they're looking for someone who's not afraid to speak up, who's always looking for ways to do things better, and who's willing to take action.
Exactly. Think about a time when you noticed a problem or an inefficiency, and you took the initiative to find a solution. Did you streamline a process, improve communication, enhance safety protocols?
Okay, I've got a few ideas swirling around in my head. I'm definitely going to have to give this question some thought and come up with a compelling example that highlights my proactive and problem-solving skills.
That's the spirit. Now let's move on to a question that's all about adaptability. Describe a time when you had to adapt to a significant change in the workplace. How did you handle the change, and what did you learn from the experience?
Adaptability. That's a valuable skill in any field, but especially in a fast-paced industry like this one, where new technologies and trends are constantly emerging.
Exactly. So be prepared to talk about a time when you had to adjust to a new process, a new system, a new team, a new anything.
Okay, so I could talk about that time when my previous company restructured, and I had to take on new responsibilities and learn new skills quickly to adapt to the changes. I actually ended up really enjoying the challenge and expanding my skill set.
Perfect example. Highlight your ability to embrace change, your willingness to learn new things, and the positive outcomes that resulted from your adaptability.
Got it. Embrace change and highlight the positives. Okay, this next question seems like a good one. Describe a time when you took the initiative to learn a new skill or expand your knowledge base. What motivated you to do so, and how did you apply what you learned?
This question is all about demonstrating your commitment to continuous learning and professional development.
Right, because in today's rapidly changing world, it's not enough to just rely on the skills and knowledge you already have. You need to be constantly learning and growing.
Exactly. So be prepared to talk about a time when you went above and beyond to expand your skill set. Did you take a course, attend a workshop, read a book, seek out a mentor?
Okay, I'm going to have to think about this one. I'm always up for learning new things, but I want to choose an example that's really relevant to this industry and highlights my passion for this field.
That's a great strategy. Choose an example that shows them you're truly invested in your professional development and eager to stay ahead of the curve.
Got it. Choose wisely and showcase that passion. Okay, next up, describe a time when you faced a challenging technical problem. What steps did you take to diagnose the problem, and how did you ultimately resolve it? Technical problem-solving time.
This one's about demonstrating your technical prowess, your ability to think critically, and your knack for finding solutions.
So I could talk about a time when I faced a technical challenge, maybe in a previous job or personal project, and break down the steps I took to identify the problem, troubleshoot potential solutions, and ultimately resolve the issue.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to get into the details. Show them you understand the technical aspects of your work and that you're not afraid to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty.
Got it. Technical details are good. Okay, next question. Describe a time when you identified and addressed a potential safety hazard in the workplace. What steps did you take to mitigate the risk? Safety first. This one seems especially crucial for this industry.
You're absolutely right. This question is all about demonstrating your commitment to safety, your ability to identify potential hazards, and your willingness to take action to protect yourself and those around you.
So it's about being proactive, observant, and responsible. I could talk about a time when I noticed a potential trip hazard in the workplace or maybe a piece of equipment that wasn't working properly, and I reported it to the appropriate people and took steps to prevent an accident.
Exactly. Choose an example that shows them you take safety seriously and that you're willing to speak up and take action when necessary.
Got it. Safety is paramount. Okay, this next question seems like a variation on one we've already discussed. Describe a time when you had to communicate a complex technical concept to a non-technical audience. How did you ensure that they understood the information? So it's like that earlier question about communication, but this time it's about tailoring your message to a specific audience.
Precisely. It's not just about simplifying the language, it's about understanding the perspective of your audience and finding ways to make the information relevant and engaging.
So I could talk about a time when I had to explain a technical concept to a client or a customer who didn't have a technical background. Maybe I could talk about how I used analogies or visual aids to help them understand.
Great examples. It's all about finding ways to bridge the communication gap and make complex information accessible.
Got it. Bridge the gap. Okay, next up. Describe a time when you had to overcome a significant obstacle to complete a project or meet a deadline. What challenges did you face, and how did you overcome them? This one seems like it's about resilience and problem solving.
Absolutely. It's about demonstrating that you can handle challenges, adapt to unforeseen circumstances, and still deliver results.
So, I could talk about a time when I faced a setback, maybe a technical difficulty, a supply chain issue, or a last-minute change in requirements, and highlight the steps I took to overcome the obstacle and achieve the desired outcome.
Exactly. Choose an example that showcases your problem-solving skills, your ability to think on your feet, and your determination to succeed.
Got it. Resilience and determination. Okay, this next question seems like a good opportunity to highlight my ambition. Describe a time when you set a challenging goal for yourself. What steps did you take to achieve your goal, and what did you learn from the experience?
This question is all about showcasing your drive, your ambition, and your ability to set goals and achieve them.
So, I could talk about a time when I set a challenging professional or personal goal. Maybe earning a certification, mastering a new skill, or completing a challenging project, and discuss the steps I took to achieve that goal.
Exactly. Highlight your goal-setting process, your action plan, the obstacles you overcame, and the lessons you learned along the way.
Got it. Goal-oriented and driven to succeed. Okay, what's next? Describe a time when you had to make a quick decision under pressure. What factors did you consider, and what was the outcome of your decision? Decision-making under pressure. Always a fun one.
This question is about demonstrating your ability to think clearly, make sound judgments, and act decisively, even in stressful situations.
So I could talk about a time when I had to make a difficult decision with limited information or under a tight deadline, and highlight the factors I considered, the process I followed, and the positive outcome of my decision.
Exactly. Show them you can handle pressure, think on your feet, and make tough calls when necessary.
Got it. Cool under pressure. Okay, this next question seems like another teamwork-focused one. Describe a time when you had to work with a team to achieve a goal that you didn't personally agree with. How did you handle the situation, and what did you learn from the experience?
The art of compromise. Exactly. This question is about demonstrating that you're a team player, even when you don't necessarily agree with the direction or decisions being made. It's about being respectful, open-minded, and willing to work towards a common goal, even if it means setting aside your personal preferences.
So I could talk about a time when I had to voice my opinion respectfully, listen to alternative perspectives, and ultimately support the team's decision, even if it wasn't my preferred approach.
Exactly. Highlight your ability to communicate effectively, find common ground, and contribute positively to the team, even when you might have had a different perspective.
Got it. Teamwork makes the dream work, even when there are disagreements. Okay, this next question is an important one. Describe a situation where you witnessed unethical behavior in the workplace. How did you handle the situation?
This question is all about integrity. It's about demonstrating that you have a strong moral compass and that you're willing to speak up against wrongdoing, even when it might be uncomfortable.
So they're looking for someone who's ethical, responsible, and not afraid to do the right thing, even if it means going against the grain.
Absolutely. Think about a time when you witnessed something that didn't sit right with you and you felt compelled to take action. Did you report it to a supervisor? Confront the individual directly? Document the incident?
Okay, I'm going to have to give this question some careful thought. It's not always easy to speak up, but it's so important to stand up for what's right.
You're absolutely right. It takes courage to stand up for your beliefs, and employers value candidates who demonstrate integrity and a commitment to ethical conduct. Now let's move on to a question that's all about creative problem solving. Describe a time when you had to come up with a creative solution to a problem. What was the problem, and how did you approach finding a solution?
Creativity. This is where I can let my imagination run wild, right?
Well, not entirely wild. It's about finding creative solutions that are also practical and effective.
So I could talk about a time when I faced a challenge that required me to think outside the box, maybe come up with a new approach or a novel solution.
Exactly. Highlight your ability to think differently, challenge assumptions, and come up with innovative ideas.
Got it. Time to get my creative juices flowing.
Okay.
Next question. Describe a time when you had to learn a new skill quickly to complete a task or project. How did you approach the learning process, and what resources did you utilize?
This question is all about adaptability and your ability to learn new things quickly and efficiently.
So it's about being a quick study, being resourceful, and not being afraid to dive into new challenges.
Exactly. Think about a time when you had to learn a new skill or a new system on the fly. Did you use online tutorials? Seek out a mentor. Attend a crash course.
Okay, I've definitely had to learn new things quickly throughout my career. I'm always up for a challenge.
That's the spirit. Choose an example that shows them you're a fast learner and that you're not afraid to embrace new challenges.
Got it. Embrace the challenge and highlight my learning agility. Okay, next question. Describe a time when you had to give feedback to a coworker or team member that wasn't easy to deliver. How did you approach the situation and what was the outcome?
This question is all about your interpersonal skills, specifically your ability to provide constructive criticism in a way that's helpful, not hurtful.
Right, because giving feedback can be tricky, especially when it's not entirely positive. So they're looking for someone who can communicate effectively, be sensitive to others' feelings, and provide feedback in a way that's constructive and helps the person improve.
Exactly. Think about a time when you had to have one of those tough love conversations with a colleague and you handled it with grace, empathy, and professionalism.
Okay, I've definitely had my fair share of those conversations. I'm going to have to think about a good example that showcases my ability to deliver constructive criticism effectively.
Excellent. And be sure to highlight any positive outcomes that resulted from your feedback, such as improved performance or a stronger working relationship.
Got it. Focus on the positive impact. Okay, next question. Describe a time when you had to deal with a setback or failure. How did you handle the situation, and what did you learn from the experience?
The dreaded failure question. Nobody likes to talk about their failures, but I guess it's all about how you frame it, right?
You're exactly right. It's not about pretending you've never stumbled. It's about showing you can get back up, dust yourself off, and learn from those experiences.
Right. Resilience and a growth mindset.
Right.
Okay, this next question seems like a good opportunity to highlight my willingness to step outside my comfort zone. Describe a time when you took on a new responsibility or challenge that pushed you outside of your comfort zone. What motivated you to do so, and what did you learn from the experience?
This is your chance to shine as someone who's not afraid of a challenge, who seeks out opportunities to learn and grow.
So, I could talk about a time when I volunteered for a project that stretched my skills, or maybe took on a leadership role that I wasn't quite sure I was ready for. Exactly. Highlight those moments when you pushed your own boundaries and emerged stronger and more capable.
Okay, I've definitely had a few leap of faith moments in my career. I'm going to have to think about a good example that showcases my willingness to embrace new challenges and my commitment to continuous growth.
Excellent. Choose a story that demonstrates your growth mindset and your dedication to pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone.
Got it. Embrace the challenge and highlight the growth. Okay, next question. Describe a time when you had to make a difficult decision that involved weighing multiple factors and considering different perspectives. How did you approach the decision-making process, and what was the outcome? This one seems like it's all about balance and judgment.
You got it. It's about demonstrating that you can consider different viewpoints, weigh the pros and cons, and make a well-informed decision even when there's no easy answer.
So I could talk about a time when I had to make a decision that impacted multiple stakeholders, maybe a product design decision that involved balancing functionality, safety, and cost.
Perfect example. Choose a situation that showcases your ability to gather input, analyze information, and make a decision that you believed was in the best interest of everyone involved.
Okay, got it. Highlight those complex decision-making skills. All right, what's next? Describe a time when you had to work with a team that was experiencing low morale. What steps did you take to improve team spirit and motivation? This one seems like it's about being a team player and a bit of a cheerleader, too.
You've got it. It's about recognizing that a positive and supportive team environment is essential for productivity and success, and that sometimes it takes a bit of effort to maintain that positive energy, especially when the team is facing challenges.
So they're looking for someone who can boost morale, create a sense of camaraderie, and help the team stay motivated even when things get tough.
Exactly. Think about a time when you sensed a dip in team morale, maybe due to a challenging project, a setback, or simply a lack of communication and connection. What did you do to lift spirits and foster a more positive and supportive team dynamic?
I've definitely been in situations where I've had to rally the troops, so to speak. I'm going to have to think about a specific example that showcases my ability to motivate others, build team spirit, and create a more positive and productive work environment.
Excellent. Choose a story that highlights your ability to be a positive influence, a team player, and a bit of a morale booster when needed.
Got it. Be the positive force. Okay, next question. Describe a time when you had to adapt to a significant change in the company or industry. How did you handle the change, and what did you learn from the experience?
Ah, change is the only constant, right?
especially in today's fast-paced world. This question is all about demonstrating that you're adaptable, resilient, and capable of navigating change effectively.
So I could talk about a time when I had to adapt to a new process, a new system, a new team, a new anything, really. The key is to highlight my ability to embrace change, learn new things quickly, and emerge stronger from the experience.
Exactly. Choose an example that showcases your flexibility, your willingness to learn, and your ability to adapt and thrive in the face of change. Got it. Embrace the change and highlight the growth. Okay, this next question seems like a good one for showcasing my organizational skills. Describe a time when you had to work under pressure to meet a tight deadline. How did you manage your time and prioritize tasks effectively to ensure that you met the deadline?
Time management is a crucial skill in any role, but especially in fast-paced environments where deadlines are tight and the pressure is on. This question is all about demonstrating that you can handle the heat, stay organized, and deliver results, even under pressure.
So I could talk about a time when I had to juggle multiple projects, prioritize tasks effectively, and maybe even work a few late nights to ensure that I met a critical deadline. The key is to highlight my ability to stay calm, stay focused, and deliver high-quality work, even under pressure.
Exactly. Choose an example that showcases your organizational skills, your ability to prioritize, and your commitment to meeting deadlines without sacrificing quality.
Got it. Stay organized, stay focused, and get it done. Okay, this next question seems like another teamwork-focused one. Describe a time when you had to delegate tasks effectively to complete a project or achieve a goal. How did you approach the delegation process, and what steps did you take to ensure that the tasks were completed successfully?
Delegation is a crucial skill for anyone in a leadership position or anyone who aspires to be in a leadership position. It's about recognizing that you can't do everything yourself and that empowering others to contribute is essential for team success.
So they're looking for someone who can assess the strengths of their team members, assign tasks strategically, provide clear instructions, and offer support and guidance throughout the process.
Exactly. It's about creating a collaborative and empowered work environment where everyone feels valued and supported.
Okay, I've definitely had opportunities to delegate tasks in previous roles, both formally and informally. When I have to think about a good example that showcases my ability to delegate effectively and create a positive and productive team dynamic.
Excellent. Choose a story that highlights your leadership potential, your ability to empower others, and your commitment to creating a collaborative and successful team environment.
Got it. Delegate effectively and empower the team. Okay, next question. Describe a time when you had to stand up for your beliefs or values in the workplace. What was the situation and how did you handle it? This one feels very personal and potentially a bit tricky to navigate in an interview setting.
You're right, it can be a bit of a delicate balance, but it's an important question nonetheless. It's about demonstrating that you have a strong moral compass, that you're not afraid to stand up for what you believe in, and that you can do so with professionalism and respect.
So it's not about being confrontational or argumentative. It's about advocating for what you believe in, even when it's difficult, and doing so in a way that's constructive and respectful.
Exactly. It's about having the courage to speak up, even when it might be easier to stay silent, and doing so in a way that aligns with your values and the company's code of conduct.
I'm going to have to give this question some careful thought and choose an example that feels authentic to me and showcases my integrity and my commitment to doing the right thing.
That's a great approach. Choose a story that you feel comfortable sharing and that demonstrates your ethical compass and your willingness to stand up for your beliefs.
Got it. Stand up for what's right, but do it with grace and respect.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Describe a time when you had to deal with a difficult or unexpected situation with a customer. How did you handle the situation, and what did you learn from the experience?
Ah, the customer is always right. Or are they?
Well, that's debatable. But the point of this question is to demonstrate that you can handle difficult customer interactions with professionalism, empathy, and a commitment to finding a positive resolution.
So it's about staying calm under pressure, listening actively to the customer's concerns, and finding a way to address their needs, even when they might be upset or frustrated.
Exactly. It's about turning a potentially negative experience into a positive one and demonstrating that you're a customer service rock star. Okay, I've definitely had my fair share of challenging customer interactions throughout my career. I'm going to have to think about a good example that showcases my ability to stay calm, think on my feet, and find creative solutions to customer issues.
Excellent. Choose a story that highlights your customer service skills, your ability to handle difficult conversations, and your commitment to creating a positive customer experience.
Got it. Customer service is key. Okay, next question. Describe a time when you had to work effectively with a team that was geographically dispersed. What challenges did you face and how did you overcome them? The joys of remote work.
It's becoming increasingly common to work with teams that are spread across different locations, so it's important to demonstrate that you can navigate the challenges of remote collaboration effectively.
So I could talk about a time when I worked on a project with team members in different time zones, maybe using video conferencing, instant messaging, and project management tools to stay connected and on track.
Exactly. Highlight any strategies you use to communicate effectively, build relationships remotely, and ensure that everyone felt connected and engaged despite the physical distance.
Okay, I'm going to have to think about a good example from my own experience working with remote teams. It definitely has its own unique set of challenges, but it can also be incredibly rewarding when done well.
Absolutely. Choose a story that showcases your ability to collaborate effectively in a virtual environment and highlight any positive outcomes that resulted from your efforts.
Got it. Remote work, no problem. Okay, next question. Describe a time when you received constructive criticism that you initially disagreed with. How did you handle the situation, and what did you learn from the experience? This one seems particularly challenging.
It can be tough to receive criticism, especially when we don't agree with it initially. But this question is all about demonstrating that you're open to feedback, willing to consider different perspectives, and capable of learning and growing from those experiences, even when they're challenging.
So it's about showing that I can take constructive criticism gracefully, even if I don't agree with it at first, and use it as an opportunity for growth and improvement.
Exactly. It's about demonstrating maturity, humility, and a willingness to learn and grow, even when it's uncomfortable.
Okay, I'm going to have to think carefully about this one and choose an example that showcases my ability to handle constructive criticism effectively and emerge as a stronger and more capable professional.
That's the spirit. Choose a story that highlights your growth mindset, your willingness to learn from your mistakes, and your commitment to continuous improvement.
Got it. Embrace the feedback, even when it stings a little. It's so important to be open to feedback and use it as a tool for growth. But speaking of growth, let's shift gears a bit and talk about career progression. We've covered a lot about acing the interview, but what happens after you land the job? What does the career ladder look like in protective clothing apparel manufacturing?
This field offers fantastic opportunities for advancement. You might begin as a junior production technician, where you'll learn the ropes of garment construction and production processes firsthand.
Sounds like a great way to build a solid foundation. What comes next?
As you gain experience, you could become a production supervisor, overseeing a team and ensuring quality control. From there, you might progress to production manager, responsible for entire production lines, budgets, and timelines.
Wow, a clear path with increasing responsibility. And for those seeking leadership roles.
They could aim for director of production positions, leading large-scale manufacturing operations. Some might even specialize in areas like research and development, focusing on innovative materials and design. The possibilities are really exciting.
It's inspiring to see those growth paths. But before we wrap up our deep dive, let's circle back to RoleCatcher one last time. You've mentioned how its AI can be a game changer for interview prep, but could you elaborate on how it specifically helps tailor answers for this industry?
Of course. RoleCatcher analyzes thousands of interview questions and answers specific to various roles and industries, including protective clothing apparel manufacturing. It's like having access to a massive database of insider knowledge tailored to this field.
So it's not just generic interview advice. It's tailored specifically to what hiring managers are looking for in this industry.
Exactly. It can pinpoint potential questions for specific roles, like production supervisor or design engineer, and offer insights into what makes a strong answer. It's like having a secret weapon to help you stand out from the competition.
That's incredible. It sounds like an invaluable tool for anyone serious about a career in this field. And speaking of standing out, any final words of wisdom for our deep divers as they prepare for their interviews?
Remember, preparation is key. Dive deep into the company, the role, and the industry. Showcase your passion, your knowledge, and your eagerness to learn. And don't forget to leverage those resources, like RoleCatcher, that can give you an extra edge.
Great advice. It's all about showcasing your authentic self, your passion for this field, and your readiness to make a real impact. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of protective clothing apparel manufacturing. We hope you feel empowered and prepared to rock those interviews.
It was my pleasure. Best of luck to all our aspiring protective clothing apparel manufacturers out there. Remember, your passion for safety and innovation could help shape the future of this industry.
Until next time, Deep divers keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.